So number three is the most speculative, and we have some, evidence that how you feel, and I'll focus specifically on positive psychological states, might actually drive changes in your mitochondria. And we did a study a few years ago with Alyssa Eppel, UCSF, where they took about 90 women who were asked every morning and every evening how they feel. And then, you imagine you wake up in the morning and then you're asked, how do you feel now? Right? Do you feel, inspired, or do you feel, confident about your day? Or do you feel worried and you don't know what's going to happen today? And that's really stressful to you. And then in the evening, there was kind of a more elaborate questionnaire that asked, how much of this did you feel today? And then there were kind of items like love, closeness, and trust, and being inspired and motivated and uplifted and connected to others and so on. And then some negative things like feeling betrayed and rejected and feeling sad and depressed. And I think everyone can imagine some days you feel a lot of positive stuff, right? Like you had a great day with your partner, with your colleagues at work, or so you felt a lot of positive things and not so much negative things. And some other days you feel a lot of negative things because of things that happen, because of your psychobiological state, whatever drives the emergence of those positive negative experiences. So they ask those questions. So we have kind of reports on how women feel for 7 days in a row for a whole week, which is beautiful, daily repeated measures of someone. And then we were able to have white blood cells, immune cells from these women measured on the Wednesday. So they answered these questions from the Sunday to the Saturday for these 7 days. And then on a Wednesday, they came to the clinic, gave blood. Then Alyssa's team isolated white blood cells, and then we assayed the mitochondria. And then what we measured in the mitochondria there is we call the mitochondrial health index, which is basically how much energy can each mitochondrion transform, right? So that's kind of a proxy for a simplistic proxy for mitochondrial health. So we were able to relate for the first time how people felt, right, across that week and their mitochondria in the middle of that week. And so we asked, a simple question first. Do people who feel more positive have better mitochondrial health than people who experience more negative things, right? And the answer there was, yes. And it seems like people who experience more positive things have slightly better mitochondrial health. But then the more interesting question was, well, we know how these women reported feeling for the 3 days before we took the mitochondria, and then for the 3 days after we took the mitochondria. So we can ask, is it how people feel that predicts, right, or drives the mitochondrial health, or is it the mitochondrial health that drives and predicts how people feel, right? And what the study showed is that how people felt in the morning and the evening on the 3 days before, on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, actually predicted mitochondrial health, but not the other way around. So those are mitochondria in the immune cells, right? And remember what we talked about earlier, mitochondria are different. The brain mitochondria are different than the heart mitochondria, and the immune mitochondria are also different. So it seems like how we feel might drive a fairly large change in the biology of the mitochondria and the energy production capacity of our immune mitochondria. And so if that's true, we need to replicate this, and we're in the process of developing a study to do this, at scale and over longer periods and with repeated measures of mitochondria and so on. So if that's true, right, that implies that feeling more positive, having more positive experiences can actually directly influence the mitochondrial biology. And if you can improve the mitochondrial biology and the ability of mitochondria to transform energy in the immune cells, well, maybe that happens also in your brain cells. And we have evidence that this is the case. And Caroline Trump, who works in our group, has amazing data in brain mitochondria. So she was able to measure gene expression in the brain of individuals who've passed away, but in whom our colleagues had collected data on how socially connected they feel, their level of well-being or their level of depression and isolation before they died, right? So you have the psychological exposures, the psychological state of these people before they die, and then you have the brain after they died. And then Caroline used some fancy single cell gene expression analysis and neurons and astrocytes and microglia to ask, is there a connection between how people, they said, I'm feeling great. I have amazing sense of purpose. I feel like my life is meaningful. I have great friends and so on. Well, does this person have better functioning mitochondria in their neurons or in their glial cells than someone who says, I wake up in the morning, I don't really want to be here. I don't feel well, and I'm fairly depressed. And what she's finding is yes. And the mitochondria are different in people who report more positive experiences than people who don't. So this is opening up a new layer of biology that, there's a direct psychobiological connection between the lived human experience and the biology of our mitochondria. So then if we speculate a little bit, it could be that, choosing to do something that you find meaningful and purposeful, right? And arranging your life in as much as possible in a way that you feel good about it, right? And making decisions in terms of what you eat, in terms of the people that you surround yourself with, in terms of the job you choose, actually makes a difference on your biology and on the biology of your mitochondria. This would be amazing. And I think that would be consistent with kind of the growing understanding of the metabolic nature of and functioning of the brain and mental health. And maybe a path to mental health is to taking care of your mitochondria. And you can take care of your mitochondria by moving more, by being hungry once in a while, and by making choices that make you feel inspired and motivated about life.